Even though we are 3 weeks into the Omer, we still have another 4 weeks. And I get quite often the same question from many people: am I allowed to listen to music on the Omer? Because the majority of people just know that you can't listen to music, and for 7 weeks, then there's no dancing, there's no workouts, there's no nothing. So we want to go a little bit, not too deep into the halakha, but are we allowed or not? The bottom line, that's what we want to know. So the main question is, and Bemet, I got it so many times, is first of all, if I'm allowed to listen to music, and is there any difference between music that is live, music that is coming from a speaker, which now, I mean, if you look in books of halakha, it will say a radio. When they wrote books of halakha, they didn't have an iPhone. Now everybody listens to the music on their iPhone, or MP3, or whatever it is. But nevertheless, there are 3 types of musics that we can refer to. One of them is music from a live band. Another type of music is coming from a phone, from an MP3, from a radio tape, from a radio, from a CD. And the other type of music, when it's not really music, it's just vocals, what they call a cappella, that people sing and then make it sounds like music. And some of them do it so well you can't even notice. Sometimes these different bands, 3, 4, 5 people, one does another one bzz, bzz, and then it's you have a whole orchestra and it sounds really like music. So so we want to know the bottom line. We're not going to go so much deep into the actual halakha and where it originates from the Mishnah. But first of all, and most important, this is something that most people don't know, and it will come to most people as a shock, but the Shulchan Aruch paskins that the whole year we can listen to music. And this can be found specifically in the portion of the Shulchan Aruch that is called Orach Chaim, in page 570, Tafkuf Samech, and the Shulchan Aruch decrees there that since the temple got destroyed, the whole year we're not allowed to listen to music. This is the halakha, that we are constantly in a state of mourning. But since we do listen to music all the year, because we're lenient, we makel. So we're lenient, so we're allowed to listen to music throughout the year. But really, according to Shulchan Aruch, if somebody wants to be strict according to Shulchan Aruch, no music the entire year. Just that the rabbinical authorities said, okay, listen, why you can't listen the whole year music, then we'll be makel, we'll be very lenient, and you can listen to music throughout the year. Now, there's difference of opinions, of course. Some people go by the ruling of Sephardi, Ashkenaz. There's many different types of poskim. We're going to try to go through the majority of all of them, so that way everybody gets covered from what they follow. And the main 2 authorities that I can say that will be one representing the Sephardi side, in our generation at least, is Rav Ovadia Yosef. And on the Ashkenaz side, or to many other groups, is Rav Moshe Feinstein. These are the 2 authorities that many go by when it comes to halachic ruling. Both say the same thing, and when it comes to the Omer. And this also applies in some cases also for the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz till Tisha B'Av. But since this is far away from us, we're not going to talk about that. But all what we're going to talk about is kind of applying to that period of time. Just that period of time we're much more strict. But in this period of time, both poskim say, don't be lenient and don't be machmir. Do what the din tells you. Do what the actual law tells you. And if you want to follow the din exactly, then most of the music you can't really listen. So that will include a live band, which this is the real music, and it will include even a band that is not a live show, even in your basement, not a radio, not a person on the street that is playing the violin, not through the phone, and not through anything. This is if you want to go what's called mi'ikar adin, the essential part of the law, then one should not listen to music. But now starts coming all the exceptions. The first exception is when it's a person that has a physical or mental or emotional sickness and they need the music. And this is where most of the leniency comes, is when it actually comes to benefit a person. So when a person is actually literally, there's a physical or emotional issue and the music is needed, then one is allowed, of course, to play it. Then, of course, comes the music when it comes a simcha. If there's a brit milah during the Omer, you're allowed to play music there. It's a simcha. If there's a pidyon ben, if there's a siyum masechet. Now, most people, the custom is most people don't get married through the Omer, depending. The Sfardis, they go till Lag BaOmer, the Ashkenaz go till Shavuot. Some people don't go by either way. But nevertheless, if one would conduct a wedding during the Omer, then they can listen to music. Same thing with the bar mitzvah. Now, of course, there's the strict opinion and the lenient opinion. We're going to kind of summarize the whole thing. But if there is a simcha during the Omer, and the simcha will be a wedding, brit milah, pidyon ben, finish bar mitzvah, and a finishing of a masechta. This is called a siyum. These are the times that is considered a great simcha, a joy, and yeah, you're allowed to listen to music because it's a mitzvah. And of course, we're not talking about right now of the opinions that some people say, I don't want to have a simcha during the Omer. I'll push the wedding a few more weeks, or some things you can't push. You can't push a brit milah, and you can't push pidyon ben, and also a bar mitzvah. So some people, what they'll do in a bar mitzvah, they won't do a big party, they'll do the party after the Omer. But nevertheless, each one, they're already consulting their personal Rav to what do they do and what customs they take. We're just going to very general cover the whole thing. Now a lot of people say, okay, so if this is the case, then let me listen to music Motzei Shabbat. Motzei Shabbat is kind of like Shabbat. There's no mourning on Motzei Shabbat. The reason why we don't listen to music is because of mourning. Because if you're going by Shulchan Aruch, then it's the destruction of the temple. If you're going by the custom that we mourn the death of the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva, then it's again mourning. Not mourning in the morning, rather mourning for the death of somebody. So Motzei Shabbat, there's no dinim of avlut, there's no mourning rules. So let me listen to music on Motzei Shabbat. So again, if you're going by the essential part of the law, then Motzei Shabbat you can listen to music. How about Lag BaOmer? Lag BaOmer you can listen to music. No question, everybody agrees, Lag BaOmer you can. Now it's already past the fact, but there is a big question in Halakha if people can listen to music on Yom Ha'atzmaut. As every corner of the street there's a big show and parties, and so this is already matters of opinion. Technically, from the essential part of the law, there's no problem to listening to music on Yom Ha'atzmaut. And of course, there are the ones who say, I don't even accept Yom Ha'atzmaut as any type of a holiday, and for me it's just a regular day, therefore I'm not going to listen to music. So we're not going to get into the whole sugya about Yom Ha'atzmaut, that dafka to the opinion of most, and I emphasize most of the gdolim of our generation, Yom Ha'atzmaut should be celebrated. And I'm talking about the most of the gdolim of our generation, not the one or two, that they say, listen, we're not happy with the fact that the Israeli government is secular and that they're running the country in a corrupt way. But the fact that we got our country, this is a big miracle. This is a beginning of the redemption. We got our country, we got our land. Okay, so we don't biblically have a Bet HaMikdash, but you know what a miracle it is that Hashem gave us our country, our land after 2,000 years when Jews never lived here. It was a deserted place, and it was a miracle. But we're not going to get into that. That's another class. Maybe if you're interested, we'll talk about that. The opinions of the Gdolim. The Gdolim is the great rabbis in our generation. I can tell you for at least local to us, Nogea to us, the chief rabbi of Tzfat, Rav Shmuel Eliyahu, he's very strong about this. This is a day of celebration. This is a miracle. I heard him give a drasha not too long ago. He's like, Yom Ha'atzmaut? Okay, he says, I'm also not happy with the fact that the government is a secular government and it's not running the country according to the rules of the Torah. But the fact is we got our country? This is the beginning of the redemption. This is kibbutz galuyot. There are prophecies that before Mashiach is going to come, we're going to start coming back to our land. This is a cause of celebration. And needless to say, how about the thousands that gave their lives so we can live here? But this is not on our topic, but nevertheless, it's already after the fact. But maybe if Chas v'Shalom Mashiach will decide to wait a few more months and we have to celebrate another Yom Ha'atzmaut, then to most opinion, Yom Ha'atzmaut, it's fine to listen to music. It's a festive day. Now, a lot of people will ask, is there any difference in the types of music? Can I listen to classic music? It's not necessarily a music that makes you go so crazy in regards to being happy. So it doesn't matter if it's classic music. If you follow the rule that you don't listen to music, then classic music doesn't make a difference. Even so, a lot of people ask, so can I listen to holy music? There's music that we will call it secular music, and music that is a more holy music, Hasidic music, whatever it is. That also no. And of course comes a big question. What happens sometimes there's groups and they read Tehillim and they play music while they read the Tehillim. So it all boils down to the same answer. If you follow the deen, the rule that you don't listen at all, then it doesn't matter what type of music and it doesn't make any difference. Of course comes the question about songs. Can I just sing? And of course singing you can. The problem is with the instruments, not with vocals. Which of course brings to the other question, so how about vocal music? A cappella. And not a cappella, not only a cappella. Sometimes people, they know how to make with their mouth music, it sounds better than an instrument. So there are three opinions. One opinion says even that you're not allowed to, because it resembles too much music, and one can get confused. And a strict opinion says no, even that you're not allowed. A more lenient opinion says no, you're allowed. It's not music. The problem is the actual instruments. And the third opinion, which is the kind of in between, says you're allowed to, as long as it's very obvious that it's coming from the mouth and not from an instrument. Now, the majority, when I'm saying majority, I'm referring to halacha authorities. The majority says that what we need to prevent is mainly the instruments. Not a radio and not an MP3, rather the actual instruments when you have a live band. And if it's coming from a radio, I mean in our generation, when you tell somebody a radio, they'll be like, a what? but if it's coming from a machine, a radio, an MP3, then it's not live music. And to most opinions, that's not a problem. My problem is the live music, is the actual instruments when it's a band. Excuse me. So if it's live band, then it's one thing. If it's coming from a device, then shouldn't be a problem. Now, there are a majority of opinions that says if it's just coming from a device, there's no problem. You can listen to the music. There is I can't say a book, it's a lot of books, but Rav Moshe Feinstein, who was one of the biggest halacha authorities in our generation, he has a set of books, it's called Igrot Moshe. And in this book he says that if it's singing and there's no instruments, there's no problem at all. You can sing as much as you want. Now comes the question, okay, so when it comes to a live band, and most opinions says you're not allowed to hear a live band. But I want to hear my MP3, I'm in the car, I want to work out, I'm in my home, I want to have some background music. Before we get into that, there's a bigger question that a lot of people ask, how about if I'm standing in the bank and there's music in the background? Can I listen to it, or do I have to go like that? Or I'm in a taxi and the taxi driver is playing music, or any time that you're not playing the music and you don't have any control over it, you're not obligated to listen, not to listen to it, you have nothing to do with it. If you now live next to a person that has a band and all day long they're practicing and you're benefiting from the music, you're listening to the music, but it's not you didn't initiate it, you didn't do anything, and you have no problem. You don't have to call the police on them. And somebody not too long asked me, tell me, if I'm hitchhiking and I'm sitting in somebody's car and they play music, should I tell them to turn it off? I said, no, that will be extreme chutzpah to tell them to turn it off. He's giving you a ride. I'm not talking about hitchhiking in the street. No, somebody's giving you a ride. That would be chutzpah to tell the person to turn the music off. What kind of a chutzpah is that? So I told him, instead of learning the laws of Sfirat Omer, learn the laws of Derech Eretz, to be a mensch. So if somebody else is playing the music, it's nothing to do with you. You're fine with listening to it. Now, there are a majority of poskim that they say that as long as it's not coming live from a band, you have no problem in listening to it, because the main problem with the music is when it becomes festive. And if you go now to a live band and to a live show, or let's say a wedding with a live band, makes you dance and makes you happy, and you usually will get it, how do you say, get into the groove. When you're listening to music on your phone, you're not going to start dancing in the middle of the street. Some people do, but Zev, the dance is in the corner there. So most people, they walk with the music, they're not going to dance. The problem is what's called the chagigiyut, when it's festive and a celebration. When you're listening from a band, most likely you might start dancing. You're listening from a device, you're just listening to your pleasure. So there is a large amount of halacha authorities that say as long as it's coming from a device, there shouldn't be a problem at all. Now comes a big question: is there a difference between music that is very happy or jolly, however you say, that makes you very happy? Some musics make you depressed. Some music is so slow, you can promote somebody to jump off of a building with the music. Chas v'shalom. So how is that reviewed? If I have music that is very happy and make me jumping up and down, then I understand. It makes me festive, makes me happy. But what if it's a very depressing song? Some people, they like listening to depressing songs. They get dressed in pajamas, they get in bed, they put sad songs, they cry, and they put another song. So some people maybe need to get some emotions out. But nevertheless, there is a difference between the festive songs and the sad songs. Now, again, going back to the halacha authority of the Igrot Moshe, he says that a sad song isn't a problem because it makes you sad. But a happy song, that will be already more of a problem because it gets you into the mood. Now, mainly the ikar isur, the main part of the prohibition in music, is to make me dance and to make me very happy. That's the main problem. And the words it's used in the words of halacha is rikudim, dancing, and mecholot. Now, I didn't find a right word in English for mecholot. To dance, I can dance by myself. And in the closed room, I can put music and I start dancing. And usually when it's only me in the room, I come up with moves that the world have never seen. But that usually happens when there's only walls and me. And suddenly I stretch my abilities to put Michael Jackson to shame. But once I'm in public, suddenly I'm... But nevertheless, this is rikud. Rikud is dance. I can dance by myself. Mecholot is when it's a group of people. It says about Miriam and Neviah, after they cross the sea, there's Shirat Hayam, and then there's another Shira, V'titzeh Miriam v'tof beyada, and it says that the women, they went out b'mecholot. Mecholot is, a group of 100 women, and they dance usually in some type of a group. There's a show there. This is called mecholot. So ikar isur, the main part of the isur, of the prohibition, is the actual dancing. And when it's festive and it's like in a wedding, sometimes in a wedding people just throw their hands in the air. And sometimes it's like organized dancing. It's like a conductor and this group is going this way and that one is going that, and then the hands up and everybody's doing the move. Nevertheless, this is called mecholot. This is the isur. Now, so we gave a little bit of information from Rav Moshe Feinstein, which a very large majority of people, that's who they go by when it comes to halacha. But we also have another side of the halacha, that the Sfardis follow, and the authority in our generation is Rav Ovadia Yosef. And a lot of his this information can be found in one of his books called Chazon Ovadia. But nevertheless, he says it's best if you can be strict, if you can be machmir, and not to listen to music and not dancing and not nothing. If you can. The words that he uses is nachon leachmir. It's the right thing to do. But Mikar Adin, from the essential part of the law, one is allowed to listen. And allowed to listen, and as long as I'm not talking about listening to music, not starting to dancing in the streets and going crazy. Now, there is another book that he wrote called Yachveh Da'at, and there is a big separation between a live band and a device, which can be an MP3, a phone, a radio, whatever it is. When it comes to a live band, there's not even a question here. All opinions will not allow you to listen, because it will bring you into a festive mode. And there are concerts that they play sad songs. When I was a teenager, there was one singer, I think he brought the death toll in Israel to everybody was listening to the music and right away becoming depressed. But nevertheless, usually when it's a live band, makes you happy. But anyways, according to the opinion in the book Yachveh Da'at, Maran Ovadia Yosef, he says that there is a chiluk, there's a separation between an instrument and a device. An instrument, there's no question here, and the device, like he said before, mikar adin mutar, from the essential part of the law, you're allowed to. Now, there are more opinions. There's another opinion, another authority in Halacha, Rav Eliashiv, that, like we mentioned, he quotes the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says the entire year you're not allowed to listen to music. But he says the chumrah here, if you don't listen, is a chumrah. It's not something that you have to do. It's just you adding on yourself an extra strictness. But you are allowed to listen when it's coming from a device. This is just a chumrah, an addition. And of course, there's a big difference between soft songs and loud songs. And the majority of most poskim from all the different types of groups, at the end of the day, every person, they go by what halacha authority they follow. Some people, they go by the halacha authority of Rav Ovadia Yosef. Some will go by Moshe Feinstein. Some will go by Rav Eliashiv. Each one goes, they choose to their halacha authority, and each one should actually look into whatever halacha authority they follow, what they're governing. We're talking here very general, and also to see that it boils down to that the majority do allow. Now, the majority of halacha authorities all will allow to listen to music when it comes to what's called refuat hanefesh, the healing of the neshama, of the soul. Sometimes a person just needs to hear a little bit of music to calm down, to get a little bit of simchat chaim. Life is not so easy. In case you didn't notice lately, we're all dealing with something. So sometimes just a quiet couple minutes and listening to some nice songs, and music does heal the nefesh. And most poskim will allow to, if it's not too loud, you don't have to start bombarding the room now with boom boxes and bass and a little bit of soft music, just to listen, to calm you down. People, that's healing for their nefesh. So there are many halacha authorities. One of them is Rav Scheinberg, who says also music for refuat hanefesh is allowed. It's good. So one person, and of course, I'm talking about here normal music, not starting to go crazy. There's another halacha authority many people go by, Israel Pesach, a Feinhandler, that he's also saying the refuat hanefesh is allowed. And again, the majority are in the same line. There's another big halacha authority, Rav Auerbach, who says loud music don't listen to. This is not appropriate. Loud and beady, you jump up and down. But something that is mellow and calm, fine, that's totally allowed. Now, how about when I just work and I want to listen to background music, and I drive, or I'm standing in line somewhere, I want to just listen to what's called background music. I have no intention of dancing. So again, to the most halacha authority, that you're allowed to listen to background music as long as it doesn't bring you to dancing. And then this is again also about in Igrot Moshe by Rav Moshe Feinstein. He says the background music, it's totally fine. The point is when it starts making you dancing. Now we have these are more of halacha authorities in our generation, but if we go a little bit back, there's another major halacha authority that the majority go by, and he's called the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham says you're not allowed to do dancing and what I said, the word mecholot. If you have a word in English, it will be helpful for my vocabulary.
Group dance.
Group dance? Okay, I could have come up with that. What? That's what they say? It's called group dance? Oh, but in Hebrew they have a word for that. So, but nevertheless, we'll call it group dance. The Magen Avraham, which is a halacha authority that the majority follow, he says the problem is you're not allowed to have dancing and group dance. But music, we never talked about music. Music is not a problem. So, and again, a lot of this, now I'm just kind of giving you the general idea, not going into the depth of where it's discussed in the Mishnah and in previous ruling of halakha. In Rambam, for example, this is going about 1,000 years ago. Rambam says that if a person, chas v'shalom, falls into depression, and he doesn't use the word depression, rather he used the word mara shchora. Mara shchora is a sadness. Then Rambam says, yasirena benigunim. Remove it with the music. So a lot of the halakha authorities, when they're depending their ruling, they're going back previous time, even at the time of the Mishnah. The time of the Mishnah, they saw was also the dancing and the group dancing. Rambam specifically, this is where a lot of halacha authorities depend the ruling, is that, again, going back to what I said before, the leniency is because refuat nefesh, when it comes to healing a little the nefesh. So Rambam is also for it, and he says a person chas v'shalom falls into sadness, depression, or what we call mara shchora, black mara, then we can remove it with music. Now, another halacha authority that many go by a very great rabbi, his name is Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg, very big posek in halacha. He's actually the son-in-law of Rabbi Auerbach, who was a very well-respected authority in halacha, and he, excuse me?
You're in Israel?
Yeah. So he's the son-in-law. So I think I didn't check. I think he actually passed away recently. Talking about Rav Goldberg, but he's also to many groups a very respectful halacha authority. His name is Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg, and he happens to be the chatan, the son-in-law of Rav Auerbach. Nevertheless, he gives a psak halacha that from a radio or MP3, a disc, whatever it is, you're allowed to listen to music. There's no issue at all. And he again puts it on menuchat nefesh, gives you some serenity to your nefesh. After all, like I said before, I'm sure you heard that some people having a hard time now in our generation. There's a few, I think 3 or 4, so million. So our generation is a very, I don't know if to say the word disturbed because it doesn't sound nice, but disturbed because there's a lot of disturbances, not that they're disturbed. A lot of stress, a lot of hardships, a lot of stress going on. And if the music brings you a little bit of what's called menuchat nefesh, some serenity to the nefesh, then fine. And another big halacha authority, specifically in the more Sephardi side, is a rabbi called Yosef Kapach, and he also gives the same psak halacha. He says from a radio and from a device you're allowed to listen to music, no problem at all. But no instruments. Instruments is a whole different thing. And again, just to reiterate, it's instruments when you go to the show and you listen, not when a neighbor is standing outside. And sometimes we have the guy here that plays with the violin. We're not going to go and tell him, Habibi, you're 150 meters away from me, you got to go. This is the guy needs to make a living. So, But nevertheless, this is okay, of course, referring to a live band that I go and initiate the music, and it makes me festive. Now, another very big authority in halacha in our generation, specifically to the Sfaradim, is Rav Mazuz, and he paskins that the not listening to music is a chumra al chumra, is being strict on a strictness, and he says there's no source to it. The chumra, his words are chumra al chumra lelo makor, a chumra on a chumra with no source. Now, but since it's you can come and explain it in many different ways, he says, listen, you want to take a chumra on you? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying, he doesn't say don't to do it. He just says if you need the halacha answer, it's a chumra on a chumra that doesn't have a source. There's nothing wrong. We like taking chumrot. We like being strict. We're looking to be strict. But you can be lenient in times like Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, we had here a beautiful Hallel service. You know, Meir comes here with his guitar. We shake the city. On Pesach, we said Hallel every day. So we pray very early, Baruch Hashem. So Hallel was around 6:45 in the morning. So he came with the guitar, Shlomo came with the drums and the shofar, and the whole building, we were shaking the building. People came out of the doors. What's going on here? The neighbors like, wow, I woke up to beautiful sound. We recorded it. We're going to put it online so you can see. Very talented musician. And it was festive, you know how fun it is. Usually Hallel, people do it in the speed of an F-15 in about 2.5 minutes. The Hallel took us 45 minutes. We're singing, we're dancing. So Rosh Chodesh Iyar, we had a beautiful Hallel. Rosh Chodesh Iyar, you can be lenient here. And also, very soon is Pesach Sheni. You can be lenient there. Needless to say, like Omer, needless to say Yom Ha'atzmaut, and also Yom Shishi on a Friday before Erev Shabbat. You want to put some music, jump up and down. But nevertheless, again, this is the majority of opinions. I mean, there's many more other poskim I just gathered from many different places. And one last one that I recently read, one of the sons of Rav Ovadia Yosef, his name is Yitzchak Yosef, also now another authority in halacha, then he says that vocal music, based on the opinion of his father, of course, that vocal music, no problem at all, and radio and devices, stuff like that, no problem at all, and of course the live band, that is the issue. So, so really to summarize it, in other words, to most opinion, as long as you don't go crazy in dancing and happiness, then most opinions will allow you to listen when it comes from a device. So when it comes to standing in line or what's called background music, fine, listen, you asked about a workout, it brings you to workout, yeah, don't have to, blast the whole neighborhood and start bringing, these big speakers. Put a little bit to get into the mood, to the rhythm. As it's important. Our Torah teaches you that your body has to be healthy with a healthy nefesh bria beguf bari. Nothing wrong with doing a workout. This is a very bad thing in the observant communities that they're not putting emphasis about working out. They're all it's very unhealthy. So nevertheless, to work out with soft music is fine. To do music therapy, there are many people that they do therapy with other kids, with adults with music. Anything that will solve and soothe the pain of the nefesh, of the soul, is permitted. The major rule to remember here is first of all, is like we concluded, this is just an addition to an addition. It's a chumrah. And a lot of people say, I'm not interested in that. I'll be machmir with lashon hara. I'll be machmir with cheating and lying, and I'll be machmir in many other things. This is so we just learned yesterday in Parashat Kedoshim the foundation of how one wants to conduct their behavior. Just read it again in case you didn't come to shul, and there it tells you all the rules. What the Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying. You want to be holy, you want to be Kedoshim, just do what it says there. And what it says: don't lie, don't cheat, don't say lashon hara, don't do gezel, v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. So, some people are very, very strict. We talked about it yesterday, that some people are so strict when what comes into their mouth. Oh, they will check the leaves with a projector, a 5,000 watt projector with different angles to find this microscopic bug that moves, and they will soak their leaves 2 hours in water, and what they will do, what comes into their mouth, every certification, they go and interrogate the shochet. Did you learn 5 hours today before you slaughtered the chicken? But what comes out of their mouth, no filters. Lying, cheating, slandering, lashon hara, hotzat diba. Yes, that's totally fine. Like a one-way street. Whatever goes in, there's a block. Whatever goes out, no blocks. So the Torah also tells you, listen, when you choose where to be strict, choose where to be strict in important things. So if you're very strict not to listen to music, but all day long you gossip, so where's your decision here to be machmir? In something that is a chumrah of a chumrah, it's not even a chiyuv, and something that is a isur doraita. So a prohibition from the Torah. So we have to choose where we're becoming strict. If I'm strict the whole way, then add on yourself more chumrah. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, who am I to say? I'm strict with everything. But the strictness is healthy when everything is strict. If I'm strict only in something that is irrelevant, but then I go and do many other things that are prohibitions from the Torah, and I brush it off. What is good? The fact that I'm not listening to music. Suddenly I'm a holy individual because I don't listen to music, but I cheat in business and I lie and I slander and lashon hara and all day long go and go against the Torah. So my strictness is worthless. So to summarize it in simple words, you got to remember that when it's a live band with instruments, that's the problem. The problem is the live band with instruments that brings you to dance. This is the major problem. All the rest is an addition, and you have difference of opinions. You have to choose which source of halakha you follow, and you consult with your Rav, what you follow. Now I gave you just a bunch of names that are halakha authorities. A lot of people say, I don't go by Rav Feinstein, I don't hold by Rav Avad Yosef, I hold by so-and-so. So each one has to ask their personal rabbi or their Rav, what's the line of halakha they choose to go by. I just gave you a very general overview. And needless to say, that the point is not to bring you into a festive mood, that you start jumping up and down and you celebrating. If it's something small, quiet, working out, falling asleep, background music in there while you're working, and as long as it just doesn't make you go crazy, fine. And again, like I said, now this is a very general overview. I always suggest when it comes to halakha that you consult your personal Rav, especially the path that you choose to go by, because every person has their psak halakha that they go by. And the most important thing to remember, I'm all for being strict. I'm all for being very machmir and mehader and beautifying the mitzvot. And yeah, Hashem loves that. And it's good because, yesterday when we learned in Parashat Kedoshim, how do you really reach to the level of being holy? Is when you sanctify yourself where you are permitted. Lekadesh et atzmecha b'mutar lecha. This is when you really reach to the level of kadosh. Because I can come and say, listen, I learned Shulchan Aruch inside out. I know what I'm allowed to. I know what I'm not allowed to. I'm going to do it perfectly exactly what Shulchan Aruch says. So, just to give you one example out of many, I don't have to wear tzitzit. You see every observant man wears tzitzit all day long. Some even people sleep with it. I don't have to wear it. I only have to wear it when I have a garment that has 4 corners. So technically, I'm not going to wear any garment that has 4 corners, and that's it. I'm done. I don't need to. But nevertheless, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of our observant men, they wear tzitzit all day long. They put on themselves a garment with 4 corners. I can do a mitzvah. I can get the reward of a mitzvah. I can do Kiddush Hashem. I can benefit from it. Why shouldn't I do that? So nevertheless, the Torah is all for take on yourself more and more. Because when you sanctify yourself where you are permitted, that's where you refine yourself. I'm allowed to eat. It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah I'm not allowed to eat. It tells me in the Torah what I'm not allowed to eat, but I can eat as much as I want. There's no place in the Torah that tells me you can't have 5 bars of chocolate. You want to stuff your face with chocolate? Go ahead and eat. It's not prohibited, but it's not a good thing to do. Now, when you segregate yourself from that, sanctifying yourself with what you are permitted, this is called lekadesh et atzmecha b'mutar lecha. I'm allowed to have the chocolate. I don't have to. It's not healthy. There's no nutrition there. Nothing good comes out of that. If I know how to control my urge, to subdue the desire to another cookie, that's when I make myself holy. So all these chumrot, all these extras is just to refine myself. But if you are very strict on something that is very minute, and you are very lenient in the severe things, the strictness on the minute stuff is irrelevant. It's a waste of time. So we have to know where do I put my emphasis and when I need to be machmir. And I can tell you with the things that are, the Torah comes and tells you. Yesterday we learned, clear out words from the Torah, not allowed to lie. It says clear in the lo leshaker. People lie all day long. It says lo lechalel et shmi, don't do chilul Hashem. People all day long do chilul Hashem with their behavior. So I need to know when to be strict. I need to be strict with, first of all, what the Torah tells me, then go and become the chief rabbi of the world and become more strict with other things. But nevertheless, the more you can take on yourself more strictnesses, that just makes you in a higher level. You just ascend to a high level, like a knife that you sharpen. The more you hit the blade with another piece of metal, it will sharpen it, and more and more and more. So the more you do take on yourself, it's only to make you more holy. And nevertheless, it's important when it comes to halakha. Here we're giving a very general overview. This is not a personal point of view of halakha. It's important to consult with your own rabbi to know exactly what you do, but I think you got the idea. Bezat Hashem should bless us that the Yemei Evel, the days of mourning, should become Yemei Simcha, should be days of happiness. Bezat Hashem, very soon, should all day long have Yemei Simcha, days of happiness. Very soon Mashiach is coming. He's going to make sure that we're all happy with no problems and we don't going to need Refuat HaNefesh and Refuat HaGuf. Bezat Hashem should all be happy, healthy and joyous all day long. A beautiful, beautiful week.